So it's another fine day of rugby right here at Harare Sports Club, and we're seeing the Nedbank Challenge Cup. But I'm joined here by a woman who needs no introduction at all because she has become a permanent feature in most rugby games. If you come here and don't see Anne, well, you might not be really here. But Anne, welcome, and how are you?
Thank you, Jason. I'm well, thanks.
Wonderful. So Anne, she has earned her place in rugby. We always see her running around, not really in the field of play, but sometimes getting in the field of play, but carrying her a bag, medical bags, and doing her stuff. And will you just briefly give us your brief background of how it all started with rugby?
Sure, Jason. So, I'm a trained physiotherapist, and my friend used to play for Harare Sports Club women's team. So she then suggested that I volunteer for the sports club team as a physiotherapist. And from there, the likes of Shingim Pofu and Coach Sykes Sibanda, they're the ones who then planted the seed to follow through in terms of rugby with the physiotherapy career.
All right, so since that time there, you've done quite a lot in rugby. But that I'll leave you time to really tell us where you have been and what you have done in the sport of rugby.
Geez, where do I start? So I went through just the basic first aid training for rugby. That was under a trainer, the late Kershaw. And from there, I then was sent for the level 2 training, which then allowed me to roam the field with the national teams and travel. And then that's when so I say the promotion and the ascension pathway started. So after the level 2, I then was nominated to do the educator course, which meant I was now equipped to teach first aiders who then started coming in and assisting us with the games. And then because of that work, I was again nominated to do the trainer course, which allows me to assist educators to train and just ensure the quality assurance in the information that they're delivering.
So this woman here, she is a trainer who train trainers, so that trainers might go out there and train people that do medic. But Ain, over the years, as you've been traveling with the teams, the national teams, even the clubs themselves, comparing how we do things here in Zimbabwe and how it's also done out there, how has it been like?
Well, my first experience was quite an eye-opener because most of the things I had learned, I had watched off the internet. But then it was a very different experience when I actually got to a field of, let's say, an international tournament, like let's say the Junior World Trophy. And Butau is when it was actually in Kenya. So when you get that exposure, you want to bring back what you've seen there, and you want to teach others and share it with the other medics and other physios, so that they actually know, where we are. They can benchmark where we are here in Zimbabwe and what's actually being done, in other countries. But the beauty of it is when you've done a World Rugby course, it is standardized. So whatever you do in Zim, as far as our medical and the first aid skills are concerned, they are universal. So it doesn't matter if there's a language barrier, but you know the skills, you know what's required as far as World Rugby course is concerned, and you can still deliver regardless of the language.
Now, many people out there, they just think that a medic comes is the person that we see on the day of play, running with a bag and attending to injuries. What else is involved with this role that you have as medics?
Yeah. So you just described pitch side care, which is when you're now level 2, like I said, that's now immediate care in rugby. But then if you're now a physiotherapist as well, your main role is actually behind the scenes. You are working with the injured players, trying to get them back to the field of play as quickly as possible, as safely as possible. If you noticed in the morning, we were quite busy with all sorts of bandages, which is the strapping, which is something we also that's another main role that we fulfill, where we also prepare the team before they start a game. There's an element of the mental health of things. Especially when you notice that there's a player that is not quite doing well, maybe it's the injury that's taken a toll on them. There's aspects of you actually intervening as a physio or as the team medic that you actually get the player back into the form that they were in so that they can perform again.
But then, how do your relationship between yourselves, the medics, and the coaches and the players as well? Because I believe they are like in the morning when certain team was playing, I saw her, and then one player got injured. Then she attended that player, and they were exchanging words and no, but you just wait and so forth and so forth. That relationship, the player wanted to get back into the field of play, but she was saying no, wait a little bit, no, sit down, and then the players, I'm okay, I need to go back. Where do you draw the line? First with the coaches, because the coach might want the player to get back in there because perhaps maybe in the player and Simba or a name advantages, shutting some field, and then you as a professional, how do you go about it?
Whew, it's an interesting one. So with the coach, as a physio, first of all, you need to know your place. You're not the coach, and you cannot be telling the coach to play this person or to shift things around. You play an advisory role. So the coach, especially now, I'm so blessed to have worked with coaches who understand the role of the physio. So they actually ask, is this player okay enough to go back into the field? How many minutes do you think this player can give me? And we can discuss that and actually determine whether somebody is going to play that game or not. Ultimately, the decision is the coach's to play someone. But because my roles are advisory, it's really just advising him that, listen, this player here has this injury. We've come this far with rehab, and he can only give you this many minutes. So what he does with that information is up to him. And then it's almost the same thing with the players. But the players now, like I said, there's now an element of the mental health where they get very, it's like they're depressed, they're discouraged, and because now they're working toward, getting back, you also need to sort of calm them down because they'll put themselves under pressure to say, okay, I pulled my hamstring today, I want to play next week. But if the hamstring is not ready, it's not ready. And you have to then talk them down to realize that if you go back soon or too soon, that injury will be worse and then you lose more time. So it's best we go through the process, trust the process, and then you can go back fully and give yourself 110% on that field.
Okay, no, that's beautiful. So, what is your concussion protocol? Are there any protocols that you have if somebody is, injured? What is it like?
So with concussions, we do have a protocol that's standardized by World Rugby, the graduated return to play. For serious concussions, some of them will take long, some of them can take 4 to 6 weeks. For those that are not so bad, we just monitor and we do the head injury assessment. So I prefer to do a head injury assessment weekly, just to track where they are. With the graduated return to play, there are stages that we go through. So every week has something a task that they will do, whether it's passing to see if the symptoms come back, if it's just running in a straight line, the symptoms come back, and then from there you step it back if they're not quite in the in that form where they can start playing again. So we do follow that standardized graduated return to play protocol.
So with all these years of experience working in this field, can you say that the clubs here in Zimbabwe, rugby clubs in Zimbabwe, they fully understand the role and appreciate the role of people like you, medics, and
So I think because of observing and being exposed to what we're trying to establish here, most clubs in Harare, because of the continuously running league, are now cognizant of the need for a physio. The challenge we're having now is probably the budgeting for each club to then take on a physio full time. So they do now realize that yes, you do need a professional who could probably do the strapping for them and just do the pitch side care, which is something that we're grateful that they're now appreciating. What we would like to do is, because now we've got so many medics who are available to clubs who are trying to assign, is the buy-in from the clubs to then say, we're putting our hand up, we want somebody who's permanent who can take care of our club, whether it's just game day or throughout the week when they also have training. Because the physio's role is not limited to game day. They also need to be there at training days. So it does help if now the club takes on physios and medics on a permanent basis.
So if we were going to give you a mic, which I'm going to do in any case, to speak to the rugby community in Zimbabwe and all the clubs, maybe as a voice, physio voice, medic voice, what did you say?
I think my first appeal would be to coaches and club administrators to, first of all, come for first aid and rugby training. that course on its own will open up your mind to the things that we are trying to teach, the people who are coming here for the medical courses. It also helps equip them to understand what we're doing here, so that way we do not fight on the field. And if we're taking off somebody who we're trying to assist, it's not because we want to give the other team an advantage, first of all. My second appeal would be to, if I could, to corporates, because the medical side of rugby is really underfunded. So the strapping we use is quite expensive, and we have to buy this weekly. And most clubs will not be able to buy the sufficient quantities that are required. So you find that this expense is now passed on to the player, and most of these players may not be employed, or at least employed well enough to afford, weekly strapping, supplies. So my huge appeal is to the corporates, to pharmaceutical companies. Please come on board to rugby and support the medical side of things, because it's quite a huge expense. And then the medical aid companies, because there are injuries, some of them require surgeries. Just yesterday at training, I had some player who had an ankle dislocation. And now they're not on medical aid, it's now the club's expense. And you find that things like imaging and then possible surgery, they become such a huge expense. So if we have a good symbiotic relationship with medical aid companies and pharmaceuticals, you find that we actually have better performance with our players, because it's a worry that they no longer have. So I think those are my two main appeals to whoever's listening.
Now, she's given an appeal to the clubs, coaches, given an appeal to the corporates out there, the sponsors, to come on board and try and help with this. But coming back to you, you have been certified as a trainer. First of all, what does that mean to you? And then secondly, how are you going to be running things moving on ahead?
It's an honor, I would say, being promoted. To me, it's a promotion by World Rugby itself to have me nominated and attend that course and then certify me. It's also been a very long journey, which to me has paid off. So I'm quite grateful to the support I've received from the union, from the coaches, from my club, Harare Sports Club. They've been quite supportive, and also with the national teams that I've worked with, they've all been quite supportive in basically my rise in the rank. Now, what are you going to be seeing more of? You're going to be seeing more medics. If you have a glimpse of our medical tent right now, it's teeming with medics and physio students who have just been trained in the first aid in rugby, and they're here for just the game day experience. What we're trying to do is demystify, number one, that this physio and sports medic is for special people. It's really for people who've got the heart. And the other thing we would like is to, like I said earlier, we want each and every club to be covered by a medic. Right? We want our goal, really, by our goal, I mean the training and education side, is to have every club with a level 2 certified medic, which will be, for lack of a better word, pretty good for the country. And also, as far as our medical rankings are concerned in the World Rugby circles. In our training and education, that's our main target. We want every club to have at least one level 2 medic. So you'll see a lot more medics running around on the field in the games coming up.
Wonderful. So are we going to be seeing this being rolled out of Harare as well? Because we see that like entire rugby is one rugby that's really coming up, provincial rugby that's really coming up well. There's Blue Wire there, there's also Midland and stuff. Are we going to be seeing a lot of activities around the issues of training, medics training and physio training moving on around? Is there anything in plan?
Definitely. So I'm glad you mentioned Mutare, because we've done first aid in rugby course, and they now have a level 2 certified doctor. So Dr. Mbawa is level 2 certified, and the hope is, with time when he does more work, he'll become an educator. So Mutare, Manicaland will be sorted out in terms of rolling out courses. Our next target is Butau and Midlands. So we are planning for courses probably in the coming 6 weeks. We are aware that schoolboy rugby is starting, and there's a lot of schoolboy rugby that happens in Bulawayo as well. So we would want them to be covered so that they're not left wanting. And then we've got Midlands. Yes, Midlands also has quite a lot of rugby there. You've got the likes of MCC, and then you've got a club that's come up as well in Kwekwe. So we would want them to be capitalized as well and have enough personnel to cover their games.
Wonderful. Maybe before I let you go, game day experience. During on a game day, what is your routine? How do you prepare, and what normally goes on in your life?
So preparation for game day actually starts on Tuesday. Tuesday, I'm putting out my list to the coach, if it's club, I'm putting out my list to the treasurer to get the things that I need for my bag on Saturday. Okay, it's another hazard of the game.
That's a ball that's coming. Game is happening behind there. Pitbulls taking on Arara Sports Club. So please go ahead.
So on Tuesday, that's when we sit down with my chairman, my club chairman, and the treasurer, and we discuss my list for Saturday. Thursday, I get to find out who's in the team, and that way I already know who's injured and who isn't, and by then would have discussed who's not playing and who is playing. And then they will let me know what their needs are as far as the players are concerned. They then discuss with me if there are any specific needs that I will need to be aware of. And then Saturday morning, usually on the usual Saturday morning, I wake up a bit late. Unlike today, where I had to be up at an ungodly hour to be here to start strapping at 7. Okay, it's my rest day, so to speak. But then it's also time for me I also meditate on the game. So I know, okay, I need to go in, I'm seeing this many people, I've got this much time, and how am I going to structure my strapping routine? And my list, who am I starting with? Am I starting with the big joints first? Am I starting with the smaller joints? So that way I kind of streamline my work and it moves a bit faster.
She actually meditates before the game, on the game day. She has been meditating, this lady. But Ain, it leaves me to say thank you so much. But before I let you go, I want to find out who can become a medic. Are there some really qualifications that you need or that is required? Or in case some people out there might say, we're also interested in coming and joining in the ranks of becoming medics and physios and stuff. Who can become one?
So for first aid in rugby, it's a basic course. That's for coaches, parents, players, right? First physios, anyone. It's open to anyone. Level 2, the immediate care in rugby becomes more complicated. So that is specifically for medical staff. So a physio, doctor, a nurse, paramedics. Those ones will qualify for that course.
It leaves me to say thank you so much, Ain, for the time that you've spent with us, talking to us here. And we really notice the work that you do, and we really appreciate it. Long may it continue.